reading is from Genesis chapter 22. Sometime later, God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains I will tell you about." Early the next morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac, and he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the 2 of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and said to his father Abraham, "Father." "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said, "but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the 2 of them went on together. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar, and there he arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand, took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," he said. "Do not do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its thorns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." And to this day it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided." The angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time and said, "I swear by myself, declares the Lord, that because you have done this and not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will take possession of the cities of their enemies, and through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed me." Then Abraham returned to his servants, and they set off together for Beersheba, and Abraham stayed in Beersheba. Sometime later, Abraham was told, "Milcah is also a mother, and she has borne sons to your brother Nahor, as the firstborn, Buz his brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Kesed, Hazu, Pildash, Jadlaph, and Bethuel. Bethuel became the father of Rebekah. Milcah bore these 8 sons to Abraham's brother Nahor. His concubine, whose name was Reumah, also had sons, Tibah, Gaham. Genesis 22, we see at the beginning that God asked Abraham to go and sacrifice Isaac, and immediately, and this always strikes me about this reading, immediately the next morning, Abraham saddles up the donkey, takes the firewood, takes his son Isaac, and goes to the place that God has told him about. There's no doubting, there's no questioning God, and I'm sure that if it was you or I, we would have had a lot of questions for God. So Abraham and Isaac go to the particular mountain, And only on one occasion Isaac says to his father, "Where is the sacrifice?" And Abraham replies to Isaac, "The Lord will provide the sacrifice." I'm sure that Isaac was quite pleased about that, but then sort of struggled a bit when they made the altar, and then Abraham bound Isaac and then placed him on the altar, and then lifted up the knife and was ready to sacrifice him. Then the angel of the Lord comes and says to Abraham, "Don't do it, stop. I will provide another sacrifice." But also the angel of the Lord says something very interesting. He says to Abraham, "Now I know that you fear God and that you will not hold anything back from me." And I think for me and for you that are watching this, that very often in life we hold very tightly onto our possessions, onto the things that we have, the things that we own, perhaps our own abilities and our own skills. And it's important that we don't hold on to things too tightly, but we put our faith and our trust completely and wholeheartedly in the God that we love and the God that we worship. And then we see in verse 14 that Abraham calls the place, "The Lord will provide." And that's another aspect of the nature and character of God, the provider and the provision of God. Jehovah Jireh, my provider. And it's so important that we do recognise that whatever our situation, whatever our circumstances, God will give us just what we need to get through that particular day. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and have a great day.